Welcome back to Let's Talk Race Somali, and I'm your host, Harrison Paul, Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez is an Argentinian football player who plays for Chelsea, an English team, and he was on a bus chanting a racist chant. This is taking the internet by storm. The chant said, and I'm going to put up on the screen so you see the images, but I'm going to read out what they were singing in Argentina. They play for France, but they are from Angola. His mother is Nigerian. His father is Cameroonian, but on the passport, French. The internet is divided. Some feel as though it's not a racist chant. Some feel as though it is a racist chant. I, for one, know that the intention behind the chant was supposed to be racist. Whether or not that is a factual, sentiment, it is there to discredit. And we all know that discrediting black or brown people from their, belonging to these Western countries. Now, this is a very complicated situation, and I want to get into this so I can break this down for you. It reminds me of the conversation I was having with someone today. We come from a society where a lot of things that we don't even realize are rooted in racism, it's rooted in racism. So, unfortunately, we live in a world where it is more glamorous to be from a European country than it is to come from an African country. This is a global understanding. Some may see me in this very moment as coming across as lacking self-esteem within my own country, but I understand that I am actually working actively to bring back the pride in what it is to be African. Of course, there's some beauty pride where it's like, okay, they have some good entertainment. Okay, they have some hot weather. Okay, there's some beauty there. Okay, but we all know that poverty has been attached to Africanness. Well, of course, poverty has also been attached to Argentinian. They can argue that, oh, we have a lot of poor people where we come from in Brazil and so forth. Yeah, well, you weren't colonized and told that you are less than human. These stigmas still follow us until this very day. Unfortunately, that's the truth of it. So it's like this elephant in this room is this ghost that Africa, as beautiful it is, I even believe the way the world loves Africa now, it is still this patronizing love. It is not a love where we respect Africa for truly the greatness that it is. The intellect, not just dancing or those little memes you get to see of kids in the rural areas dancing, and we're like, oh, look how cute they are doing the dance. And we're always reduced to that. It's probably why, at first chance, this guy brought out a video of him hugging a little black child. Because that's what comes into our minds. We think of the choker. We think of, oh, look, I can't be racist because I've given charity to Africa. So we're working to deconstruct, we're working to abolish these narratives that were placed upon Africa, that they are the lowly place, poverty. And why that's important is not because Africa isn't struggling financially, it's because the root and the reason why it is struggling financially. Africa is still dealing with neo-colonialism, and it does the Western powers all the justice and all the good for the world to still perceive Africa as people who just can't get it right for themselves. That vindicates all of the people who are exploiting Africa from what they really owe Africa. So if the world sees Africa as people, and I get our messages all the time, oh, look, you sold yourself. Oh, don't come to me, you sold yourself. Oh, basically, whenever I'm in a debate, I always notice this tone that when I push somebody against the wall about history, about their involvement in exploiting Africa, I always notice once I hit them with information and receipts, there comes this next phase in that argument. And because they refuse to feel shame or guilt or any sort of accountability when it comes to Africa, because they've been told that Africa is below me. Follow me on this. Why would I feel shame? I'm going to give you one of my favorite examples. Why would I feel shame about a prostitute? Why would I feel shame about ill-treating a prostitute? What? That is the way a prostitute is supposed to be treated. So when I tell them, you treated a prostitute, sorry, quote unquote, in this way, they say, okay, you've caught me, but that is the way a prostitute is supposed to be treated. She's not supposed to be treated well. How dare you make me feel like guilty or like I'm less honorable because I gave a prostitute the treatment that they were born to receive? Africa being the prostitute. So it is important that the world still continues to look at Africa as this prostitute, the one who sells herself. The one who sells herself anyway, it's no one's business. We do not want to talk about the theft that happens. We do not want to talk about the abuse. We don't want to talk about it. And the West and all the Western countries are the pimps, and then their people, the elites, set the rumors, and the people perpetuate it. And here we are today. So it hurts me that we're in this place that is so complicated, in which you understand. It's like, remember when people say to you, like, I seen a clip today in London, and I'll put up on the screen in just a moment. And it was somebody who said to him, there's a brother on a train, and he knocks a man out, knocks him flat. The guy was trying him, looked like a drunk. And then the guy said to him, come on, Afro man. And it was at the moment that he said Afro man that the brother lost his head and decided to punch this guy. This is the painful part, guys. And I'll put the clip on the screen for you guys to see it.
I don't care, bro. You ran into the wrong person. Stop fucking with me. Stop talking to me. Stop talking to me. Go sit down.
You got that man. Oh, you know where I'm from?
Do I look like I give a fuck?
I'm in London, bro.
I don't give a fuck. You in South. Remember that. Fuck.
What are you trying to threaten me?
Bro, no one's threatening you. Just leave me the fuck alone. What's wrong with you, bro?
Listen, don't push me out of the way.
Then don't run into me.
Well, I'm
It's
ready
simple
to
as that.
wipe the fucking nose off, bro.
I dare you. I really dare you.
Come
In
on,
my life. I
come
dare
here,
you.
then.
I dare you, bro.
Come
I
here,
dare you.
and I'll wipe your fucking nose off.
I dare you.
Come on now.
I should
Let's
dare
go.
you.
Let's go.
I dare you.
I love you, bro. Let's go now. Oh, listen, Afro man, come.
Yo, John, what you pussy? There's no need for
It's not worth it. It's not worth
What?
it,
Swing
guys.
it. I dare you.
Guys,
I dare you. Swing at me. Swing at me. Are you fucking dumb?
Relax.
Yo.
Okay, right, we're near Denmark here. We're calling.
Good night. One of the things that I grasped me, and I'm sure it grasped any other black person, he called you an Afro man. Sure, but that's what you have. That's surely you should be proud of being an Afro man. This is why I do not want blackness to be compared to any other struggle. When the mere existence of who you are has just turned into an insult in itself, that he is an Afro man. In fact, he works hard to keep the Afro in the way, shape it is, because we know, I'm telling you, we work hard to keep our hair, to make sure it's nicely oiled and grows properly. He worked hard for that Afro. Black people, you understand that. So why is he hurt when someone told him Afro man? Because the mere presence and existence of a black man has been defamed, has been attached to stupidity, has been attached to an animal. So when someone says, oh, you're black, I am black. How is these things become an insult? So you're asking me about Enzo Fernández. He is French, he is this, but he's from Angola. When your existence as an African has become an insult in itself, this is the legacy of colonialism. This is the legacy of slavery. And this is what we are dealing with, brothers and sisters. So I'm looking at this from like 100 different angles of like, yeah, wow, how deep and sad is it that when somebody tells the truth about who we are, it is an insult in itself because they know being attached to Angola, or rather being attached to France, is more luxurious than being attached to Angola. So everybody wants to remind you. It's like as if you're not really, 6'1", and you wearing platforms, and people want to remind you, you ain't that high, you wearing platforms. That's kind of what it is. And this is what I work to do on this page. I'm working to regain the pride in being African, to restore it, to debunk all the lies and the things that have become so normal in our society. The things that we think that even when someone wants to be nice to Africa, that's when he posts the boy, and I'll put the image on the screen. Here he is showing, and even when they want to be nice, it's patronizing. It is even in its niceness, it's someone, at best, the African is to be pitied. Another thing, this guy has been living in a country where he barely even speaks the language. I don't even think he speaks English. I'm going to tell you, there's definitely things about the British people that he does not like, but he would not dare to make any sort of chant like that. He wouldn't dare to make any sort of reckless chant like that. What does that tell you? It tells you, brothers and sisters, for anybody who's out there who has gotten used to this thing where we do not set standards for our race and what we accept and what we do not accept, you are doing the very thing that you think. You are doing the opposite of the very thing that you think is going to bring respect around your race. You think showing that you are easygoing will bring you respect. That is the opposite. You are actually bringing your race backwards. And to prove that, I have a perfect example. I'm going to bring up my screen. And check this out. Bella Hadid, I'm going to put up on the screen now. Adidas backtracks after uproar over 1972 Olympic shoe redo pro-Palestine model. Bella Hadid. I'm going to play the ad right now.
Adidas have apologised following backlash for featuring Bella Hadid on a 1972 Munich Olympics trainer campaign. Palestinian terrorists killed 11 Israeli athletes and a German police officer at the Games. Bella has criticised Israel and frequently uses her platform to speak out against the Israel-Hamas war.
So I ask you, brothers and sisters, do you think that's about money? That is about self-determination. You asking yourself, why would I cause a big fuss about this? We just watched one of the biggest models in our generation lose a job for sticking for her race. Why? Because there's another person doing the exact same thing. I need black people to wake up that this concept, if you just close your eyes and pretend it's not there, it's so far from intelligent. It's how you become ruled. Rulers set a tone for what they accept and what they do not accept. And then they follow the tone. And then followers or peasants follow the tone for what their rulers want, never setting a tone for what they do and do not accept. This Bella Hadid has lost a job, brothers and sisters. The biggest model, power, money, everything you said. I heard people telling me, if you have money, they respect you. If they have money, they respect black people. It's because you don't have infrastructure. It's because you don't have this puts to bed all of your theories about why black people are not respected. We are not respected because back in colonialism and slavery, the one thing that they beat out of the African is self-prioritization, self-value, and self-esteem. The black man has always decided, I will come second. Even though you don't realize it on the forefront of your mind. You think, I'm a man, I stand on my business. No. You are the only race that people can play on your name and you don't have a gang or a fleet of people come after you the next morning. You cannot play on white people and not have a fleet of people of you, whether they're rich, whether they're poor. You cannot play with Israelis and think you cannot have a fleet of people on you the next morning. You saying it's money? Money should have saved this woman. Money should have saved this woman. She got her money. Because the people behind that are self-determined. The Israeli people are self-determined. So when you mix self-determined and then you add money to that, and the only way a community builds infrastructure is when they are self-determined and they begin to build together. That self-determined nature lingers around and is raised in the children. While you're thinking, let me teach my children kumbaya, someone else is teaching their child the importance of why Israel need to be represented hardcore every single time. And now they have the power, and you're looking at the finish line and saying, you see, this is why power is important. It started with self-determination. Remember, these people were poor. And they stuck by their plan to be self-determined right to where they have arrived today. And everyone is asking, what way should Chelsea punish Enzo Fernández? What way should he be punished? What way? And I just, before you answer that question for yourself, you're asking yourself, what way should he be punished? I want you to understand how all the media has just downplayed it. Oh, just same old, same old. We do get on one knee, stop racism, all this stuff. All this stuff we do. And then at the end of the day, someone just says, I'm sure he didn't mean it like that. Everyone alluding to that. You've got to learn how to watch people. It's disgusting. Disgusting. Oh, disgusting. But can we? That's why when I'm listening to something, I'm waiting for them to get through it's the disgusting. Because they're going to say that. Everybody knows you got to say that. That's why I'm tired of black people and all, even everybody, waiting for someone to say something blatantly when we don't live in those times anymore. We don't live in those times anymore. So when you see someone making a statement, you see anybody, or if you want to know how to truly feel about it, wait for them to get past the first few sentences, which are going to be disgusting, appalling, out. Yeah. And I wrote this in the book that I'm writing now. I really love this section I write. I said, and I think I've said this before on one of these shows, and it's so easy to know how the West really feels about racism. Even though they give off this Leonardo DiCaprio-esque acting of how appalled they are. Wait till we see the punishment and what that looks like. And I've known that since a child in school. That's what I wrote. I've known that since a child in school. I can't believe it. I would tell on a boy and go and tell his mom, he said this, he called my mom a black this, or he called, you shouldn't have get in the house. About 30 minutes later when I leave, he's back outside playing again. It was never a big deal. And as a kid, you begin to understand this message. This is when I talk about the legacy of colonialism now. So now we are so robotic and the world is so in this understanding that it is not a big deal. Guys, just because a few of your friends feel something when someone dies on the internet, or when someone gets called blatantly an N-word, or when someone is blatantly refused to come in a building, you see a tape of someone blatantly refused to come in a building because they were black, and people are like, oh, that's not nice. Come on. That person isn't a saint because they did that. We have to up our standards about having zero tolerance, what that really looks like. Israel have zero tolerance. They have a community, have set zero tolerance, and everybody just talks about it any which way. And even the vice president of Argentina didn't come out and say, we hate racism. This is how much we are not respected. Listen to this. Argentina's vice president, Victoria Vural, now I'm reading from the Independent UK, defends Fernandez and the team, however, saying she would not tolerate the actions of colonialist country. No colonialist country is going to intimidate us for a song on the pitch or for telling the truths they don't want to admit. Villarreal, or whatever her name is, posted on her account on X, Argentina is a sovereign and free country. We never had colonial colonies or second-class citizens. We have never imposed our way of life on anyone, but neither will we tolerate that they do it to us. Enzo, I support you. Lionel Messi, thanks for everything. Argentinians, always hold your head up high. That's kind of rich. That's kind of rich because right now I gotta go and just get the official term. Argentina's black population has been systematically erased and removed in whitening effort. There's history that shows, and I'll put this up on the screen, there is history that shows there was actually a black Argentina population. Obviously, a lot of slaves were dropped off there in that time. We all know that Maradona actually has blackness in his line. And they so much wanted to get rid of that black population that they actually brought in people to cleanse out and overpower the black race that was there. So this concept, and that's what everyone wants to do nowadays. They want to sanitize history. And black people feel like, I don't care about history anyway. It's the past, it's the past, it's the past. Black people, honestly, you're the only people who think like that. Every single nation stands on history, stands on, because they know the foundation of the fundamental direction of that nation, whether it be Africa or nations, will come from the history. The foundation, the fundamental beliefs of that, of that nation will come from its historical foundation. If you are a nation, Africa, that has come from a foundation of being overpowered and people trying to rewrite your history or undermine what they've done to you or what they stole from you, and you think it is your job to forget that history, and you think you are going to create children who are going to, I'm going to use a football term, fight for that badge. There are Manchester United players today who fight for the badge because of when Sir Bobby Charlton played for the team. This was before I was born. So you have Marcus Rashford today who will come on that pitch and he will play for Sir Bobby Charlton before he was even born. What does this tell you? We have to have a foundation as to what we do it for. So now when every black child, and the problem is with a lot of Africans, we came to the West and we said, hopefully the West forgets about the history because we will certainly not do them wrong by them, and we'll do them justice and we'll forget it also. So you're standing in an environment, every African, no one really implemented that, okay, we are here. That's why we've not got to the bottom of why we are here. Neocolonialism, all the sorts. So everybody treats and talks about Africa, like I said at the beginning, like this prostitute. Why would I feel shame? And now it's so sad to a point that even if Chelsea were to punish Enzo, a lot of people, even as I've been watching the interviews and the different people speaking on it, it feels overboard to give him a punishment like selling him or anything. Why? Because black are not that important. But if this was a player and he made a comment about the Jews and he was gone by the morning, no one would blink an eyelid. They'll say, oh, there go the Jews again. There go, they don't play with them. As the little baby said, not to be messed with. There they go again. The untouchables. There go the untouchables again. Doing what they do. What message that send out? Everybody who goes to work on Monday morning, whether you have a work in media, we've worked on everything, you know whose toes not to step on. So why can't we set these standards for ourselves? Brothers and sisters, the only way we are going to garner this kind of respect from the world is when we have this zero tolerance nature for ourselves. So Enzo Fernández, I understand that you've apologized, but you have done the crime. Now it is time for you to do the time. And no, we do not need you to do any sort of program that you're going to be absent-minded throughout the whole program about awareness that people are even suggesting. Oh, maybe he has to do an educational program. There has got to be a punishment that makes a statement. And any black person, I'm sure there is, that feels uncomfortable about this man getting a bigger punishment for something like this, you are part of the problem, and you are inheriting the curse and the virus of a lack of urgency towards Africa. That people should just be able to treat or speak about Africans whatever way. And although we understand that the comment was made and there was some facts to it, like the kid with the Afro man, we have to understand how complex that is. And in order to get to fixing that, we have to be able to set a line and set a boundary. And just to clarify, what are we trying to fix? We're trying to fix that Africa even is not an insult. Coming from Africa is no longer an insult. We understand that that's what he meant, but we have to fix that. And how do we fix that? We need to get the respect for Africa back. That you cannot speak on these people any sort of way and see the light of day tomorrow. Brothers and sisters, that is all I have to say. We will continue to watch how this event unfolds. Honestly, I feel it's going to be a slap on the wrist. And to be honest, Africans, it is high time we began to have a new standard for ourselves. We understand that society is not going to do anything. And we now have almost fallen into the belief that, yeah, he shouldn't get that much of a punishment. Whenever you want to slack African, ask yourself, what would the Jews do? What would the Jews do? Not only would you lose your job, you'd be lucky to find a team. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe.
And I'm on a mission for you.